And it is from the lockdown San Francisco Bay Area, live every Tuesday night. It's ESG Live with Chuck and Raymir. Tonight, RevRides founder Nathan Poost and the 08 electric scooter. And now, the Michael Jordan of electric scooters, Temple. All right, how you guys doing? So excited to be here with you today. This is episode number 36. This is all about the 08 electric scooter. We're going to do a deep dive into that scooter today. We have the founder of RevRides, who sells the 08, on the show today for you guys, so we can take your questions and all that stuff. Hi everybody in the live chat. I saw a bunch of live chatters already going early on. It's nice to see, everybody in here. Gosh, I think I even recognize some of these symbols from like people that have messaged me on Instagram. Boy, I'm sorry for anybody that I don't get back to because like we get too many messages. Anyway, let's get this thing going. Our mission is to help you find the perfect electric scooter. We do this show every Tuesday at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, rain or shine. Today is shine. We are going to save up and get an air conditioning for this office because Raymir and I are, it is hot. It is hot in here. There's no AC. So when it gets hot in California, in Berkeley, or we're in Albany, it's no good. So please join the community. If you're watching this on YouTube, please be a subscriber. That's how we grow. Also, give us a thumbs up right now. I know we got 16 likes before this thing started, so if you're watching, you better hit that thumbs up button. Of course, follow us on Instagram. We have something real special planned for Instagram probably next week. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about that later in the show. And if you are on, hey, there it is. Boom. We got a bunch of likes. It just came in. That's awesome to see. If you are on Facebook, that is where the conversation happens outside of the show. So during the show, the live chat, that's where it's at. But if you have questions about electric scooters during the week, then go to the Facebook group. It's linked in the video description. And man, that group is blowing up. Like people post something and within a couple hours, there's like 55 comments. Like, what scooter should I buy? Should I get, the 010X or this or whatever it is? Boom. You will get a gajillion people, trying to help you out, with whatever your needs are. So check that out. Speaking of the Facebook group, we do Photo Friday every Friday on the Facebook group. And we have a couple runners up this week. The first runner up is Andrew Stone, the one, the only, maybe the man that owns the most fastest electric scooters. I'm not sure. He showed, I'm looking at the photo right now. I mean, I can't see it from here, but I know he has like the 11X. I know he's got the Dualtron X. He just got the Weep head in that I saw his video. He's like, this is stupid fast or something like that. Anyway, he's all over the Facebook group and has some of the fastest scooters out there. So that's cool. So runner up goes to him. Another runner up goes to Hivago Rodriguez, with his Cabo Mantis, and you can see he's got a nice wheelie going on that Cabo Mantis. Pretty awesome. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. And then we have one more runner up, and that is Jeffrey Ignacio from Abu Dhabi, with what to me looks like a 010X, depending on where he gets it, it can be called something else, but very cool, very, very cool looking scooter. And then actually the winner this week, which I think he won last week as well, and you may know him from Facebook fame and infamy, is David Vosk. So he's got his scooter here, and basically the location is MCU Park in Brooklyn, New York, which is home to the Brooklyn Cyclones, the New York Mets single A affiliate team. So congratulations to David Vosk. He got the most number of upvotes, and he is the winner. So next Friday when I post it, hopefully you'll if you're on Facebook, you throw your picture up there. I throw my pictures up there. And gosh, we had I think we had over 100 people submit their photos last week, which is pretty cool. Okay, so basically, our reviews. So our reviews come out about once a week. This week, of course, is the review of the 08 electric scooter. The premiere of that video is coming out immediately following this show. So if you're watching this now, stick with us, because right at the end, we're going to do a premiere live, and I'm going to jump, and everybody's going to jump into the live chat, and we can just chat it up. Also, I will tell you that this is the best and most beautiful video that we've ever done. Thanks to Richard and Ramir, who are our video guys. Ramir, also the producer of the show. You all know him. You all love him. Man, when I watched this video, I almost started to shed a tear. Literally, you can turn the sound off. Maybe you want to and not hear my voice, but you could turn the sound off, and basically, it's just a beautiful video. Anyway, so I hope you stick around and watch it. But it's also about how the 08 is kind of a very, very well-tuned scooter for urbanites, for people that live in urban environments. And so that is kind of the basis for that video, and we're going to talk about that with Nathan here in a few minutes, and then I can go and deep dive into the 08 later in the show. I've got all my notes. I'll be answering your guys' questions, so we'll get to that. Other reviews that are coming up, the 010X is coming up. That was a weird sound. We have the windows open because it's that hot. We've got the Wolf Warrior coming out. I believe the Wolf Warrior is going to be next week's review. So we're already working on that scooter. We've got the Cabo Mantis in the works. Also, if you've seen the InMotion Indiegogo that's going on, we discussed it. Justin and I discussed it, and we are going to take the L9 from them, and we might do a video, we might not do a video. Basically, a lot of people are asking us about the scooter. Indiegogos are they're just notorious for screwing people over. So we told them that they cannot chop up our video and use it for marketing if we do a video. And if we do a video, we will put in a disclaimer saying basically you might get screwed, because even the 9bot Max, which is a great scooter, some people still have negative comments because they just didn't get their scooter in time or whatever. So it's, but what we want to check is can this thing really go 60 miles, et cetera, et cetera. I think I'm going to figure, I want to know. Yeah. Kickstarter to donate money to. That's right, Mike R. Basically, that's what it is. We also have offered Rain to come on the show many times, and we're in touch with them. I've talked to a couple of their founders, and they were about to come on. I did all the promotion and the marketing, changed the thumbnail. It's actually a lot of work. And then a couple hours before the show, they were like, our lawyers won't let us answer your questions because Justin, our engineer partner in this whole thing, asked a bunch of questions about details about that scooter. And for whatever reason, they then declined to come on the show. So, I hope that they come on. I want to know if the scooter's real. They got videos of it, but is it actually what they say it is, right? That's what we want to know. Okay. Then we have the U-Scooter GT coming up. We got the Kiwa Hummer coming up. So that'll be fun. Okay. Some cool discounts. So, RevRides is in the building. I believe everything that's a pre-order on their site is 10% off for us, for you guys. So electric-scooter.guide is the code. It's the biggest discount that they've ever done. So take advantage of that. You can find the link to that in the video description. Of course, we have a coupons page, and you can find it there too. Also, the EMOVE Cruiser and Touring is on discount. I believe we have the best discount in the industry now with that, because I think they lowered their discount with everybody else, and we were like, you better not lower it for us. I think they're in the live chat. Thank you for keeping VOROMOTORS. Thank you guys for letting us keep our discount for all of our viewers. Really appreciate it. Also, VOROMOTORS has a new twist throttle on, I think it's the Cruiser, So Joey just messaged me about that, and I think we may have a picture of it, possibly. If we, it's cool. We're just all gonna stare at you, Raymir. So we got that photo. It should be coming out. Anyway, I mean, the trigger versus thumb throttle, deal is a controversy. But I would love to basically have a debate on this because I'm like very pro thumb throttle. And here's you can see the picture right here. It's not really much to look at, but hopefully, we'll have the first stand-up electric scooter with a twist throttle, which is what, when you look at like, other types of, I don't know, motocross, right? Motorcycles always twist throttle, right? Because like you need to have your grip on the scooter. We're going to talk about how trigger throttles work and why some of them are actually not that bad. And some of them are like a little bit tough. Luckily, scooters with single motor and trigger throttles, I actually don't mind that much. And that's like on the 08 that we're going to talk about today. That's not that bad, actually. That's, because you're being able to keep your fingers a little bit close together. Anyway, we don't need to get into the details of it, but like, if I could, I would get like a hand ergonomicist, whatever that person is, a hand doctor, and talk about how much strength you can put in these fingers when your other finger is this way versus this way. Anyway, okay. Enough about that. Couple news stories. Yes. Okay. Couple news stories. New York. We've talked about New York a lot. New York, hotbed of electric scooters. Of course, historically, New York is like the holdout for letting electric scooters be legalized, right? Then the state, who is it? Who's this? It's New York City guy. Why do I forgot his name? Not Cuomo, the other guy. Anyway, he was like, hey, let's make 1.5 miles of place in New York free and car free, but he put a cop on every damn corner, so that didn't work, right? So then, Oakland does 75 miles of open car free areas, right? And then De Blasio. Thank you, David Voss. Thank you, Sage. You're 20 seconds delayed, but I appreciate that. So then De Blasio like wants to do his thing. He does 1.5 miles, fails miserably because he puts cops everywhere, and like the cops were getting ravaged by coronavirus at that time, and so the city council was like, we are going to do this. We are going to go to Cuomo and make this happen. We're going to open 75 miles ourselves, right? And so then de Blasio goes back and says, okay, I'm going to do 100 miles. So now 40 miles, I believe, is opened up, and with another 60 to follow. And so what they're doing is they're widening sidewalks and expanding bike lanes. Infrastructure is really, really good, I think, for a lot of people. Also in the news, Lyft is providing free 30-minute rides to healthcare workers, emergency workers, and transit workers, which is really nice of them. There's some other companies doing that as well, but on the sharing side, we really like to see that. So if you're in Austin, Denver, Los Angeles, San Diego, Santa Monica, and the Metro DC area where Spin is still spinning, Lyft. I was talking to the guys at Spin like earlier today, so that's what. So Lyft is providing those, and that's fantastic. The war for our roads. So real quick, last thing that I'm going to talk about for the news is that we do this kind of somewhat often segment about the war for our roads. And the war for our roads is about, it's not a war, but it kind of is, in that you have more and more micromobility vehicles trying to be able to use the same roads that cars have been using for the last X amount of years. And these are all built for cars, but as we know, as more micromobility comes in, it's harder for those two things to kind of coexist together. And so that's what this segment is about. So We talked about New York opening 40 miles of road, but during this coronavirus, while less people are driving and all that stuff, cities are realizing that you need to allow people, pedestrians, bikes, etc. You can't just give them the same amount of room because everybody's outside right now. Everybody's like trying to walk around. So Paris is getting 400 miles of bike lanes ready. San Francisco is going to start to close Golden Gate Park to cars. Cities like Milan and the UK are speeding up road closures. This is happening all over the world right now as city planners are trying to adjust to the coronavirus. It may be happening in your city. And we're getting ready for the summer. I mean, summer has been here in California for 2 months now. We didn't really have a winter this year. So it's bright and it's sunny and, anyway. So I guess the question is like, what happens when COVID ends? I jump into a lot of the, urban planning circles, micromobility circles, right? Like I follow Horse Dead You and I'm on that Slack and all this stuff. And so there's a lot of talk right now about what is going to happen when COVID ends. And this is going to affect all of us, right? There is, when economy boots back up, are we going to get cars that are going to take back over the roads, or our city's going to be like, hey, maybe we can fit 7 times as many, micro mobility bikes and everything else in, a two-way bike lane as we can with a car lane that's the same size. It's 7 times more efficient for vehicles. I'm not saying you take out roads. I'm just saying this is what cities are dealing with right now. Asia, Europe, Africa, Latin America, they've kind of figured this out a long time ago. We're a car culture here in the US, but if you're watching this and 60% of our viewers to this show are actually outside the United States. So you guys know what it's like in Asia. It's not a bunch of giant SUVs like we have in America. In America, we have larger and larger and larger vehicles, right? And as that happens, guess what? The people in cars are safer while everybody outside of the car is not safer. So since 1990, right, we'll just say in the last 10 years, right, pedestrian deaths are up 46%. We're at the highest level of pedestrian deaths right now since 1990, right? You've got giant SUVs. I'm not saying they're bad, but it is a little more dangerous because, you have a little bit less visibility, these types of things. So anyway, it's really, really interesting. I mean, every year car crashes kill 40,000 people in the US alone and injure to the point where they need medical attention, another 4.4 million people just in the US, right? Also, road crashes in the US, number 1 cause of death for people age 1 to 54. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. It's interesting. It's interesting to me. So anyway, all right. So we're going to see if we can get Nathan on the line here to talk about the 08 electric scooter. So if he's on, let me just grab him. Yep, I think I can hear him. Okay, so so the 08, right? So 0 makes a line of scooters, okay? So the 08 is the kind of like the entry level of the 0 scooters. The 09, we did that scooter about a month ago. It's like my personal choice if money was no object for an electric scooter because of the weight and all that stuff. Then you go up to the 010, a little bit bigger, right? Then you go up to the 010X, a little bit bigger, although you do have that 8X in between. It's a solid tire version. And then finally, they have the 11X. So that is the range of scooters that 0 sells. Now, you also have RevRides sells other devices as well. And RevRides is the authorized and exclusive distributor of 0 in the USA. They're also well known for their customer service. They're basically at the elite level of customer service. So we've had Nathan on before. Let's bring him on again. Nathan, are you there? Nathan needs to watch his Skype window and not watch the show. Hey, the show is 20 seconds delayed. I was watching you watch the show. That's funny. Cool. Welcome back to the show. Thanks for coming on. No, no worries. No worries. Yeah. Well, you can get back on there, I guess, after our little talk, or for the what's that? No audio. Hang on one second. Hang on one second, Nathan. Uh, Remember, just change one to the Chuck headphones. Just unmute that. Nathan?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
I think we're good. Yeah, we just needed to get the audio. Yeah, so we're good. Okay, so yeah, so thank you for coming on. So what's new, man? How are you doing?
Yeah, it's we're doing fine. Yeah, the teams we're trying to stay 6 feet apart, but we're all working in the new office. So we're probably breaking some rules, but
We won't tell
I feel
anybody.
essential.
Yeah.
Scooters are essential. I mean, yeah, scooters
Yeah.
are really important right now.
Yeah, I agree. I do think scooters are essential. They're like for a lot of people, especially people that live in cities, they don't have another form of transportation, especially now that public transportation is gone. I don't know if you're, if you're seeing that as well.
Yep, we are. Yep, buses are mostly not working, not running, or very limited hours.
Yeah, yeah, we're hoping to try to do something about that. I know we've talked a little bit already, but we're gonna announce something maybe later today or next week about trying to help some essential workers. But it is a nice thing, and I think one of the one of the things what we're talking about with the 08 specifically is that there's certain scooters that are kind of lend themselves to cities with or without the COVID going on, and that's what the review is kind of about, the one that we're gonna
Yep, sure.
show at the end here. So yeah, so how's your staff and everything doing with the springtime sales, the COVID thing? Are you guys getting along? Are you guys getting scooters in? How's all that going?
The team's in really good spirits right now. We recently opened up a new office in downtown Vancouver, so it feels great to kind of be in the midst of the downtown area instead of like in more out in the country and industrial area. Um, I think it's living the lifestyle that we're trying to promote has
Mm-hmm.
been fun for the team to see that, and we take the scooters to lunch when we go to lunch, and all the restaurants are takeout, so you just order your food and take it back to the shop. But it's been nice to be downtown. Definitely a breath
Okay.
of fresh air.
Yeah, awesome. So you were in downtown. You said downtown Vancouver now.
Yep. Yeah, we opened up a warehouse and a showroom in downtown.
Nice. That's
I
awesome.
mean,
So
it's not
some
open yet, but we're in there operating, getting moved in.
So then somebody could actually go in and like test out the scooters, stuff like that. Like once people can do that type
Yeah,
of thing.
once we're legally allowed to open to the public, I've been told by the city of Vancouver we can still do construction, so I can get permitting and stuff for electrical work that we need to add a lot more power outlets for powering, charging stuff, and get our storefront set up. But
Amazing,
after all
amazing.
that, as soon as we can open to the public, I hope to have it ready to go instead of opening and then having to do construction in the midst of being open. So
Nice. Cool,
yeah,
cool. Okay. I know a lot of people have asked about, of course, the 11X, and I know it's hard to get. So one of us is gonna have to like write it down or something, or maybe take a road trip in maybe on a scooter. I don't know.
yeah,
We'll somehow have to get that one.
yeah. Definitely, you're gonna have to make a trip up if you want the 11X.
Yeah. Cool. So, I think one of the things that, people kind of know you guys about is the fact that you can actually talk to, people. They'll help you with the scooters, right? When you buy them, if you have issues, whatever, you've got people there. You have, phone support, email support, I believe. So I was just kind of wondering, I know I've talked to like, I've heard, I've seen messages from like Tyler, I think before, but I was just wondering who is on the team, like who, like I know you, but is there like who else is there?
Yeah, so we have a small team. It's me myself. I started the company back in 2018. after spending many years in Singapore and coming back and forth from China to Singapore. I worked in Malaysia for many years. So I saw this exploding over there years ago. Started the company. My wife still works with me in the company. She does all the packaging and shipping of all parts orders, and manages all scooter orders, not the quality check, but she does all the, making sure the orders are going out right, to the right addresses and everything, prints all the labels.
That's Emily?
Yeah, Emily. Yep.
Okay.
Emily's. Yeah, so she works with us. We haul our kids down to the shop, let them play around the new shop while we're getting orders out. And then the team, I mean, we got Tyler was I used to work with Tyler. He's a super smart guy. He basically runs all operations. So anytime it's like, hey, Tyler, we need this to be seamless. Like somebody orders something on our website, it should like be seamless through our business. You need to figure out the operations. How does this happen? And Tyler's a whiz. I mean, he'll program stuff. He'll do whatever he needs to take to make the system work. And then Brett was the next employee. Brett, I met him on an airplane, became really good friends. He started doing some work for me on, like freelance marketing stuff, photos, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, dude, I need help. Like social media, I am not a visual person, like artist. I'm not an artist. And so Brett was super helpful. He's got the right eye for it. So he does all our social media, all our imagery, our website is all, mostly credited to Brett. And then Mignon is our most recent person. He joined the team, referred by a good friend of mine,
Mignon,
who worked with him for many years in customer service in like corporate America. So he loves the phone. He loves talking to people, and he's been a great asset to the team.
Awesome.
And then
cool. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Can't forget the last guy. I forgot. I almost forgot. Douglas. Douglas is in our shop. He's helping out a lot. He does a lot of our quality checks. He's like Tyler's right hand man in the shop every day. So he's great too. He actually works for my father-in-law as well.
Oh, what does your father-in-law do?
He owns a pet store.
Oh, cool.
For like 35 years or something like that. A long time.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So Douglas is the one that like opens the scooters up, checks them, because like we got this scooter and like I know the brake was like perfectly adjusted, which, I don't find that, or like, the display was set to miles per hour.
Sure. Yeah.
Kickstart was turned off, I think, for us. Like it was kind of like how I would, cruise control was turned off for us. Is he the guy that does all that?
Yes. Douglas, and I mean, we're a small team, so everybody will chip in if orders are, a lot of times we're back ordered, as you've seen. When we get it, a lot of times when we get a container shipment in, it's like all hands on deck, getting orders out. Our most recent shipment that came in was a small shipment from Singapore because I couldn't get anything from China. So I called Singapore and I just ordered everything they had. And when that came in, it was all sold out except for a couple 8Xs and a few 8s. So it was all hands on deck. UPS hates us those days.
Yeah.
The
us too.
We're just like, I'm so sorry. You need another truck.
Yeah. Do you have a stairs that they have to climb, or is it at least the ground level?
No, we're at ground level at least, but no loading dock.
Oh, so no loading dock. Oh my gosh.
Loading into the truck, but we help them out, and we have a roller conveyor. We can roll out the roller conveyor if we have a lot going out.
Got it. Cool. So what do you think about the today's scooter is the 08? I'm gonna detail it after our interview here, but what's your take on that scooter? How do you like it? How do you think it fits in, or like who is the right person? A lot of people on the live chat right now are like, hey, I just bought the 08, that's why I'm here, and so what do you think about it? What's your opinion?
So when I was working with Falcon, I was in Singapore a lot, and so I met Falcon when he was working on the 0 lineup. And the strategy with the 08 was entry level, get people into the brand. So something we can do as inexpensive as possible, but wanted performance. So that's why it's got 500 watt. A lot of scooters in a similar price range, or at least entry level scooters, have 350 watt motors, sometimes as low as like 250 watt motors. So something with more power, if it's transportation, you can't be walking it up the hills. It needs to be powerful enough to go up the hills.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was it. It's perfect. It's entry level. No front brakes is kind of a bummer. You know, props to E-Wheels, right, for adding the front drum brakes to theirs. Like, yeah, good job. We've been talking to Zero about doing the same thing. I don't own the brand. It's not my decision to make the changes to it. We're just the retail for the US. But it's a very solid scooter. There's a YouTuber we worked with early on, Electron Surfer, and he tried the 8 and the 9, and you know, between him and his girlfriend, they both really like the 8. They like it better than the 9.
Interesting. Why do they, you know, I know some differences because we got pretty deep into the scooter when making the review, but
Yeah.
what were some of the differences that he liked about the 8 versus the 9?
I think, well, the suspension's a little stiffer on the 8. The rear suspension's a little stiffer on the 8. If you look at the angle of the rear suspension,
I've got the 9 over here,
more of an
actually.
angle. The 9's a little flatter.
It is.
So,
You're right. Yeah, it is. It's a different, slightly designed. You got a little bit of a angle here where the 9 is pretty flat.
Yeah.
Looking at it right there.
The rear suspension does function better on the 8. The peace of mind of no flat tires in the rear, which, you know, we know it, but your studies proved it, that 90% flats are in the rear, right? Roughly.
94%, according to our Facebook group, actually. Yes. Scientific.
Yeah, you definitely get better performance and better ride comfort out of a pneumatic tire. Hands down. So the front pneumatic was a strategy. You go into a corner, if it's a little dirty, a little bit of, you know, gravel or sand, it's going to have better grip. It's going to be safer having a pneumatic tire in the front. Solid tire in the rear, peace of mind, no flats, hopefully. And then, yeah, it's just a great entry level scooter.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, for me, you know, I'm not a mechanically inclined person at all. We busted, you know, I've probably had 6 flats. The last one was on the Xiaomi Pro. When I get a flat, the scooters just sit here with the flat because, like, I'm not changing them. Like, I can't do it. Luckily, we have Richard now who can do that kind of thing. But having a solid tire in the rear that eliminates the vast majority of flats for what I think is, you know, for a city dweller that doesn't have access to like a garage, you know, he's not like, you know, one of these guys that buys the big scooters and keeps them in the garage. I don't have a garage. A lot of people don't. And, you know, being able to, like, you know, change tires when you don't have equipment. And if, you know, unless you're real mechanical, it's nice to have tires that you don't have to change, or you find a scooter where it's easier, I guess, to change tires on. But if you don't want to have to deal with it at all, that's why I think, you know, for me, that's where the 0A actually really shines, is less downtime, basically.
Yep. If you're relying on it for transportation and you don't need to go really far, it's a great choice. And if you don't know how to flick a flat tire, you watch our videos.
That's true.
We're trying to get as many videos out as we can. It's slow going. Sometimes it's lower priority than customer support. You know, like, we do have a lot of calls and a lot of support. And these scooters, they're not perfect. And you know, we're not perfect. We miss people's emails. We miss follow up. We do our best. We have a week. Well, now we're doing a daily meeting. We were doing a weekly team meeting. But we kind of do it now that we're downtown and the coronavirus and being out of stock. It creates a lot of complexity. You're not running just a standard operation. It's like, okay, what are we going to tell people? When are these coming in? Yeah. So we do a daily stand-up meeting to try to keep everybody aligned. But yeah, we're not perfect. We miss stuff, and the scooters aren't perfect. So buying from a company like I've seen in the chat before, you know, big shout outs to all the suppliers that are early on and helping to build this business. I think buy local, and you're going to need support. These things it's like buying a high-end bicycle. You can't just ride a bicycle for years and not ever adjust or fix anything. And a lot of people aren't mechanically inclined.
Yeah, no, I agree. A lot of people ask us about buying straight from China and this and that, and it's, frankly, as the market matures and more people come into the market, I actually think that is going to be a worse and worse option. I think there are people who want to have this as a hobby, that are like, want to, you know, work on things, and they're, you know, they love taking everything apart and putting it back together. I think when the market started, there's probably more of those people because it was all the early adopters and innovator folks. But
Yeah.
as we get as more and more people buy, and that's what we're seeing now in the spring and with the COVID and everything, a lot of people are getting electric scooters. I personally think that that having a place that can support you becomes even more important, and that's why we always highlight folks that actually do support, because there's so many companies out there where you can't call them, you might wait days for an email response, or you just can't, if you buy on AliExpress, Alibaba, the alleys, right?
Yeah.
You might not actually get a response at all, and if you do, they might promise something, it might not happen, and if you do get it, it might be 1 or 2 months. It's it's good for some people, I guess, but I think as time goes on, you don't buy a Toyota Corolla from some no name with no service, because it's just too much of an investment to leave to chance. So
yeah, all right. These are an investment. We have a guy in Portland that bought an Alibaba scooter. We just had him in the shop. He bought a really sweet looking scooter. It's got like single-sided swing arms. It's a dual 1200 watt motor. It's like awesome scooter looking, but within 100 miles, completely dead. He couldn't figure it out. He tried everything, it's completely dead. So he brought it into the shop. Tyler figured it out. There was electrical short, got that figured out, and then he wanted us to upgrade to hydraulic brakes. So we installed our hydraulic brake kit, and then did a key immobilizer. So like his bill was like $500 of service and upgrade, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been, he could have probably just paid the difference for a scooter with all those things, I would assume, in the beginning, but
I'm trying to like.
Oh, you're trying to clean?
Yeah.
Okay. That's my son.
Oh, how many kids do you have, Nathan?
We got 4 kids.
Oh my gosh.
And we're done for sure. We're
Okay.
done. 4 kids is great, but
Nice.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah, I don't have too many other questions. I think we're gonna deep dive into the end of the 8, but I appreciate you coming on, and please hang out in the live chat if you have time, or if you got to go play with your kids, I understand. But if you can jump in the live chat, if anybody has questions or whatever, because I'm gonna go through some of the details that is more of a deep dive than the review that's coming up after the show. Yeah. So anyway, it's always good to talk to you, Nathan. Hope to see you again soon. And take care and stay safe, and
Thanks,
try
Chuck.
to avoid all the craziness that's going on.
Appreciate it, Chuck. Yeah. Last final thoughts. Big shout out to the community. It's just what you guys are building in the community. I think we're doing the right thing. I've seen a lot of the trends now with the coronavirus. I mean, people are realizing that pollution and mass transit and all this stuff, it's maybe not the future. And I'm excited about seeing, like you showed at the beginning of the show, cities are expanding their bike lanes, adding a lot more ways of getting around safely in the city without being in a car. It's great.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's happening everywhere, and you guys are a big part of it, and we're all a part of it. Actually, everybody that buys a scooter is part of it. You're all helping to save the planet. You're all helping to avoid car deaths. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a very good thing, and that's why I'm do what I do, and I know that's why you do what you do. And
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Thanks.
yeah. All right.
Thanks.
All right, Nathan.
See you guys.
Until next
Bye,
time.
everybody.
Bye-bye. Okay. Great. So we had Nathan on. It's always good to talk to Nathan. He's got a great lineup, and we're working on a rating system for retailers, for brands, all that stuff. What I've done in the past is I've done an anonymous email test, which I put the results of. I've posted it many times. We need to probably put it on our website, but basically it's like a graph. Who's the quickest to respond? Who's the latest? Who has phone support? Who does not? As far as the industry goes, RevRides is actually like the best, or one of the best. It probably depends on which day you get them. As far as helping their customers. So it's so I can personally vouch for that, because we hear everything. I mean, between the Reddit, right, which we mod, and the Facebook group, and the gajillions of YouTube, whatever, and the Instagram comments, it's overwhelming. And so we kind of we kind of know pretty quick who's doing good and who's not. And when someone is not, we know it right away. And if they continue to not do well for the customers, we stop listing them on our website. So you probably have seen the website, and so we basically just delist people if they have a habit of not doing good for their customers. So RevRides is at the front of doing good for their customers. And in fact, I can't tell you how many times people buy from the Ollies, email not only us, but email vendor, retailers that we know, the same person, because they can't get help for their scooter. And you can ask anybody that has owned multiple scooters, even the best scooters out there, there's a high rate of DOA of issues in the first little bit. Not that they're bad devices, it's just it's an early industry. So anyway, I will personally vouch for that. Ethan Tan's asking, why do people buy from Alibaba like SRS? I don't know who SRS is. I'm just seeing the and Yaniv. Hey Yaniv. They buy because it's a little bit cheaper, right? AliExpress and Alibaba a little bit cheaper. The problem is that in a new industry, right, you have the pull of the price, but then in a new industry, especially one that is like kind of unregulated, there's no like the quality control comes from the factory, right? And then a few places do quality control checks. I'm talking about 3 probably that I can think of. The rest just ship you the scooter either straight from China, or of course it has a they get it at their warehouse and then they ship it to you, but they're not checking it, right? This doesn't happen, right? And I'm talking about some of the most expensive scooters. This does not happen on. Quality and price, as far as build quality, it doesn't actually go up along with price with the market. I was talking to, I think, David about this earlier. He bought a certain scooter. It has issues, and it's a multi-$1,000 scooter. They have issues. Price doesn't mean that you're going to get something better, actually, right? We're going to talk about build quality. We're going to talk about that and there is a difference there, but it's not related to price. Features are related to price. Power is related to price, but build quality is not related to price. Prove me wrong. Anyway. Okay. Cool. All right, let's talk about this 08. How we doing, Raymir? Everything's good. All right, let me take a quick drink before we get into the details. Do you mind hanging up? I'm like trying to look at the camera, but just turn it off. There we go. Perfect. I'm seeing Nathan's head. All right. The 08. Let's talk about it. So top speed. So let's go over performance first. So, I guess maybe first is to talk about what is the deal with, why would somebody buy the 08 versus another scooter, right? And I think that's the best place to start. So when I'm thinking of the 08, I'm thinking of, you have a lot of scooters up to about $600, $700 that are typically, more mass-produced scooters like the Xiaomis and Levy and Go Tracks and these kind of scooters, and they're good. It's not that they're bad, right? But they're slower, right? They except for the 9 Max, they don't have good range, right? For the most part, right? They're good, but they're like very, very, very entry level. When you get deeper into scooters, right, you start wanting to get a certain level of range, and a lot of people, from what I glean, getting close to 20 is kind of like where they don't worry about range anymore, right? If you're 10 or less, you can only take kind of certain trips with that scooter. But when you're getting close to 20 miles, you have like a legit commuting scooter that makes sense. So this scooter's MSRP $799, I believe. I hope I'm not wrong. I think I'm not wrong. I should go on. I'm on their website right now. Let me just check real quick. I believe it's $799. Of course, right now you've got a pre-order for 10% off, which is fantastic. It's brings it down to what, $730, I guess. So you have what is actually a legit commuter scooter, whereas some of these other scooters, and you should look for yourself, go to our comparison chart, etc. You don't always get all the features. So what I look at is like, top speed and range primarily, right? And so this scooter's got a top speed of 23.1 miles per hour. That's how we test the scooters. We do not use the speedometers on the scooters because speedometers on scooters are notoriously incorrect. Usually 10 to 15% overinflated, the number that you see. So if we say, hey, the scooter is this, this speed, it's because that's the speed that I got, and I'm 165 pounds with a backpack on. I'm on a vegetarian detox this week, so I might be 160 later. We'll see. But I feel healthy, actually. I feel good. But 23 miles an hour is legit for speed. I mean, 15, great. 15 to 20, you do feel that difference. 20 to like 25, you feel that difference. And it's and even on scooters for me that go 35, 40 miles an hour, when I'm commuting, it start, stop, right? And there's cars and when you go too fast and you're near a bunch of other, hazards, you don't want to go 30 miles an hour when there's a car door that can fling open and then you can't react, right? Like, so where I find myself riding consistently, right? Of course, legally every time, but is somewhere 20, 25 miles an hour, somewhere in that range, right? Maybe a little over 25 if I've got a lot of runway and there's nothing around me. But when you're commuting around other vehicles, that 20 to 25 range, I think, is actually the sweet spot. And as much as everybody poo-poos decisions for the Rev, right? The Rev made the choice, right? To go in that middle 20 to 25 miles per hour. So that 23.1 that we got is pretty good. I mean, it's legit, right? It's legit, right? If you're going for the fastest scooter in the world, not this. The range. So what's interesting about the range is that they put the same battery, right? The same watt hours, at least, of the battery from the 09, which is a 624 watt hour battery. They put that same size of battery in the 08, which maybe just for cost savings. But what happens is because the 08 is a 500 watt motor, the 09 is a 600 watt motor, you get what you would expect. And that is a slightly more range on the 08 than the 09. So we got 22.3 miles of tested range on the 08, which was like about a mile or so further than the 09. So that's cool. And when you have 22.3 miles of range, you can go on, you can do your commute. You can, if you live in a city, you can go on your commute, you can go to lunch, you can do errands, you can do all these things. And so it just gives you peace of mind, right? Like, nobody wants to be doing the scooter walk of shame when, you run out of juice and you got to go kick the scooter down the road. Nobody wants that. I do that every time I do the range test because it inevitably, right, runs out of juice on the darn uphill portion of my test, which is always what happens. And I do the scooter walk of shame, kick of shame coming back. VOROMOTORS asks, what do you use to track your speed? So actually we have the device here. So what we use is I think Raymir might be going to get it right now. So we used to use a GoPro, and that's fine. But then we noticed that the GoPro had more dropouts. It's just not, the GPS with the GoPro. It's like, it's not a dedicated telemetry device. It just has it built, has it in there. So what we did is we started contacting car racing companies for what they use to measure their lap times when they're testing and all this kind of stuff. So we came across a company called Race Logic, which makes a suite of tools, software and hardware. I think it might be in that blue one, or white one, bottom. Yep, on the left. It's there or not. Could be in my backpack too. So we use the Vbox Sport right now. This is the Vbox Sport. It's a small device. They don't make this one anymore. We wanted to get the most hertz possible. So most of their new devices are 10 hertz. So it's like 10 recordings per second. But when we do our braking tests and things like that, we want like extreme data so that we could like look at how the curve looks, see the G-force differentiation for regen versus like regular brakes. We can see if we brake from 25 to 0 versus 15 to 0, are we getting a heating up of the brakes, and does that curve get more or less steep? So this is recorded on an SD card. That SD card gets pulled into one of their software programs. They have a bunch of software, but we use one. I forget the name of the tool. But basically, then we go in and we look at the data, and we run our tests, and we run each test 3 times, except for the range. I definitely do not do the range test 3 times. And so all the other tests, we do them 3 times. We take the median score for the most part. Also, although for top speed, we sometimes will take the top, but usually top speed is, actually most of these tests with most of these scooters, they're pretty consistent. And when we get readings that are not fully consistent, then we just redo them. So I bring my laptop out a lot of times to where I test the scooters, and I pop the SD card in at the end of the test. Basically, this is my Wednesday. This is what I do all day Wednesday. I don't do anything else. I just test scooters Wednesday. And that is what it is. Okay. Ethan Lynn is asking about the Fluid FREERIDE Horizon. Any thoughts? So yeah, we like the Horizon. The Horizon is actually kind of the same scooter, right? It's like very similar to the 08. It's the same kind of base. I think what you should look at is warranty level, customer support level, and make your decision kind of based on that. Fluid FREERIDE, great company, for sure. RevRides, more history with Zero scooters, right? Because they're the authorized seller, and they work directly with Victor over at Falcon PEV in Singapore, and they helped develop the scooter in the first place, and so they have the best relationship with the factory, and they know what's going on. Fluid FREERIDE sells a range of products, and they're very good, right? They're a good company. Is RevRides, has better customer service? You should call and email them and see which one gets back to you. And that's what I would do. Okay. So, okay. Another question. Smart and Final is asking, I'm undecided between the 010 and the eMOVE Cruiser. Okay. So I wish I had these questions ahead of time so I could look up stats, but basically, 010 and eMOVE Cruiser are, we haven't reviewed the exact 010, but I know about the scooter, of course, right? And I know about the eMOVE Cruiser because we've had all of those models before. Let me look at some details of that, because I don't have the stats memorized. And what I would do is I would go right to the comparison chart and just double. I know the weight's the same. I think the 010 has a much higher top speed. I think it's close to 30 off the top of my head, but I feel bad because I don't have every single scooter, every stat memorized. But they're both good. Are they both good? They're both good. I'll get to the differences but I'm going to go through the 08 stuff first, because sometimes people watch this video after you guys all watch it, all the live show folks, and they actually want to know about the 08. So I'm going to try to run through this. Okay. But yeah, if you have more questions, especially about the 08, then ask that, and Ramir's getting me those questions. And he waves at me. Acceleration on the scooter is not bad. It's 4.7 seconds to 15 miles per hour. 8.4 seconds is what we got to 20 miles per hour. So, look at our performance page, see how it stacks up. It stacks up where you would think a 500-watt scooter would stack up, right? So absolutely faster than, Ninebot Max, any sharing scooter, the Xiaomi, things like that. But not as fast as other scooters, right? So we do a 200-foot test that we actually don't advertise. We don't put on our anything. But when I was talking to my cousin, I have a cousin that's like super into cars, right? He's like a master mechanic, and he teaches for. Maybe I shouldn't mention who he teaches for, but he's like, Chuck, acceleration tests. Real car people don't care about that. What they care about is the quarter-mile test. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, that's the real true measure of how fast a car is. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll do an equivalent test. So I started doing the 200-foot test, right? Because, I don't have a quarter mile, and I can't get a quarter mile of straightaway, right, while being safe. But what I can do is I can do 200 feet. So we have all this data internally. We just we just don't put it on the website. I don't think, at least. I know we just updated the website. Yeah, we don't put it on the website, but I will tell you that the 200 foot speed test we basically did that, and we got a score of 10 seconds flat on the 08. And if you want to compare that to the 09, which is a 600 watt motor, we got 9.2 seconds, right? And we hit 21.1 miles per hour max on that 08 during that 200 feet. So that's how fast it goes within 200 feet. Hill climb, it did good. 16.3 seconds was how long it took that scooter to go from a dead stop on a 10% average grade. Now that's not 10 degrees. 10% grade is steeper than 10 degrees, okay? And so we do 10% grade, 200 feet, got 16.3 seconds, average 8.4 miles an hour, and by the top of the hill, it reached 10 miles per hour. So, that's a pretty steep street, right? Most cities don't have too many hills that are steeper than 10%, although if you're in San Francisco, you probably have double that. But it got to 10 miles an hour, so you're not walking, right? You're not walking, and you're definitely faster than anybody can run, and definitely faster than these bikes go, right? For the most part, unless you got like, Lance Armstrong's kid or something over there. Okay. Okay. So thank you, VOROMOTORS. Yeah, I appreciate the comment. So portability. Portability is kind of where the scooter really shines, especially when it comes to being in an urban environment. So if you're, I think maybe I shouldn't bring him up, Andrew Stone, right? Again, I think he lives in Texas, right? In probably like in the suburbs or country or something like that, right? It looks like he's got some room. But people don't always live in the country. Okay. And so I was talking, I talked to a lot of people. We're talking to some folks about something that I can't mention. And, they're asking me what's the best scooter? What scooter should we sell? Whatever. Right. And I'm like, that the question doesn't make sense. And the reason is that you can't ask somebody what car is the best car, right? We have cars for everybody. And as the car becomes unbundled and as micromobility takes off, which I promise you is happening and will happen and will continue to happen, this is not going anywhere. This industry is not going anywhere. Not by a long shot. This industry will be a bigger and bigger industry, I promise. And it doesn't matter. Cars stay, cars go. It's a bigger thing. And I'm not going to get into the reasons why at all, because I've talked about that at length. But what I'm trying to say is that there's no perfect scooter, but there's a perfect scooter for you. And that is what we do. That's why Electric Scooter Guide exists, is to find that. And so like, that is why there's such differentiation in electric scooters, is because the same thing with cars, right? It takes into account your environment and your road conditions and your hills and where you live. And if you take subways and if you go on stairs, right? All those factors need to take into account. Somebody needs to come to my office hours. We just started it. And that is what I try to help people with during office hours, which is tomorrow at noon Pacific time. You can find the link on our Facebook group. But basically, people go in there and they ask all the questions about their unique factors, right? And we try to help them to match them with the best scooter that we can for them, using scooter data and what's the best place to buy from as well, so they don't get screwed, basically. So this scooter is uniquely suited to be very small. When you fold it, it's 39 inches long and 7 something 2, I think, inches wide. Okay, and it's about 14 inches tall. You can see right here how tall it is, how wide it is. It is small. It fits in under the bed, but moreover, it fits under a table if you're going to a restaurant. It will fit, under your desk at work. And if you're riding around the city and COVID ends and you take an Uber home because it rains, it's late outside, it's too cold, you didn't bring a jacket, you meet up with your significant other and they don't have a scooter and you just want to go home together or whatever, you can put it in the back of an Uber, no problem. You can basically almost fit it in front of your feet in a car. So when you have all those factors, right, like having that portability really matters. We talked about this a lot last week with the used scooters Booster Sport review. And this one is actually almost as small when you fold it, but it's not quite as light. It's 40 pounds. So for me, I always say 45 pounds or less. I'm a 165 pound person. I'm not weak, right? I did jujitsu and I wrestled for 10 years. So and I have wrestling dolls behind me. Okay. So I'm not weak, right? But I'm not like Rainier, right? Rainier's like, he's pretty, he's got some muscles on him, right? What is it? 6'3", 230, 10% body fat. That's how we roll over here, right? That's how we carry the wolf next week, right? But basically, I need 45 pounds or less to be comfortable. I take all the scooters up and down because I got to. But if I were to buy a scooter for myself, it would be 45 pounds or less. The reason why is I can pick it up in one hand. I can open the door. I can lock my door with my other hand, right? And I can get out and get going. And that fixed cost of time goes way down when you can carry a scooter in one hand. So this scooter I can, and the other reason I can, and the other small difference that a lot of people don't notice is that the circumference there is that the stem, when it's folded and locked down, matters when it comes to carrying. This is something nobody will tell you because nobody's looking at this, right? But there's scooters that are shaped wonky or sharp, and so when you're carrying a 55-pound scooter and then the stem goes at an angle like that, and then it comes to a point, which many of them do, I got a line in my head. It hurts. And then you get a line in your hand, and you can only do it for like one flight of stairs. You can't do it for 2 flights of stairs. I can't because it's just shaped not great. With this scooter, it does turn a little bit, but what's nice is that the circumference of the stem, and in the video, we actually detail this. We actually show you how far my hand can get around the stem of the scooter compared to even the 09, which I love. But the 08 is actually easier to pick up, which means it's more portable because the circumference of the stem itself is significantly less, still strong, but it's significantly less, so I can actually get a grip on it. If I can't get my fingers together, that's no good. That is no good for anybody, right? You want to be able to at least get to there, and like however you carry things, it's just way more comfortable, right? So anyway, the U-Scooter Booster Sport literally has a handle for it, right? Which really, really, really helps. The Unagi, right? Super skinny stem, super easy to carry downstairs. Love that scooter for short trips. This scooter goes more than 8. I think the Unagi is 8.4 miles. This scooter, 22.3 miles, right? So you can still take it downstairs, but then you can go a lot further. Anyway, okay, so that's portability, and that's why I say for cities, for urban people, that's why I like this scooter a lot, right? Is because it has all those portability features. Ride quality is good. Now, ride quality is made up of a lot of things, right? One of those things is the tires, right? Pneumatic tires, better for comfort because they squish, right? They move around, right? And this scooter, solid tires worse, pneumatic better. This is a hybrid. This is a mixed, right? If you go on our website, I think we actually call it mixed if you look at the comparison chart. So you got squishy and you got solid, right? So you have a mixed bag. The front is the pneumatic, right? So you got a little bit of a mixed bag there, but you do have dual suspension. And if you look at price for dual suspension, it's hard to find something that's less than $730 all in, basically, right? I think it might even be free shipping. So $730 after you use our coupon code. I don't really think there's much that you can get less than that with solid, like it has good suspension. Watch the video. You can see it moves up and down just fine. Now, I would not recommend somebody over to, Rainier might be a little too big for that scooter, right? Like that 220 pound weight limit that they say, of course you can use it if you're more than 220, but you will get the best performance, right? And I would say, hey, if you're above 220, look at something else, right? Go up the line of Zero scooters. Maybe look at the 010. Deck size. So the other thing we look at, of course, besides tires, right, and suspension is deck size. The bigger the deck, the more comfortable it is and the better ride you're going to have. Up until a point, I guess, right? You don't want a 7-foot long deck because that doesn't make any sense. But to a point. So this deck is 19.3 inches long by 8.2 inches wide. So here you go, right? Boom, you got it right there. So basically, that's the, I think it's actually more like 7 7 wide. Anyway, so it's big enough, right? It's big enough to get your whole front foot on there, and your rear foot, you can't probably put it on there, one behind the other, but you can put your rear foot to the side, and you're not really feeling cramped on this scooter, which is really what you need. Yeah, the deck has grip tape on both sides, so we see scooters with rubber matting, we see scooters with just hard plastic like the Inokim Ox, which I love that scooter, but in the rain, right, or in slippery conditions, you don't want plastic. You can get away with the rubber, like the Mantis, right, has that rubber, kind of rubberized deck. That's okay, but when you're in the rain, nothing compares with this. Nothing compares with this. Hey, we're at 109 viewers. Thank you guys for watching. This is so crazy. Sealbur, I'll take a quick break. Sealbur says, how do you figure out how steep is a street? Okay, a couple ways, right? So someone should correct me, but what I believe, right, is rise over run for percent grade, right? So rise over run. So it's how long is the street? How high are you going up? So the street that we go on is, I think it's like 20 feet high, and it's 20 feet high, and you go 200 feet to get there. Right. And so that's how you know what the percent grade is. Also, I think a lot of people's phones have this kind of tool built in. Of course, we see all that data in our Vbox Sport, and we see all the data in the GoPro originally, right? And the GoPro even tells you how many feet you're going up. If you look at their telemetry data, which that quick app for GoPro sucks. We actually use like a hacked dashware kind of deal. But yeah, so anyway, that's how you figure it out. Anthony F says, Chuck's review on the 09 was the winning factor that made me pull the trigger. Oh, that's not a question, but I guess Ramir wanted me to see that one. Thanks, Ramir. That makes me feel good. Yeah, I mean, we don't want to upstage the 08 because the 09 is $10.99, 10% discount though. And because it's about the same weight as the 08, and if you have the money for it, the 09 includes more speed, a little different suspension. I don't mind the suspension, but I'm 160. Dual pneumatic tires, dual brakes. So stopping distance goes from 24 feet, 23, 24 feet on this scooter to 10 feet on the 09. And the reason for that, right, is 2 brakes instead of 1, right? And then you might be like, oh, well, why is it more than twice as fast to stop, right? Well, actually, I'll tell you why. Is because when you're stopping on a solid tire, you don't get as much traction as when you're stopping on a pneumatic tire, right? And so on the 08, the brake is actually on the rear wheel, and the rear wheel is solid, and that wheel does not form fit to the road, so you don't have as much, when you're skidding to a stop, you have less surface area, right, that the tire is touching on the ground to be able to stop. And so that's, I think, why the 09 stops so much faster. I mean, 10.2 feet is just redonkulously fast to stop. That's as good as it gets. So anyway, the 09, I mean, yeah, and maybe to top it all off is the stem and deck lighting. I mean, when you're riding at night, it's just so nice to have that visibility. You just feel so much safer knowing that you've got these bright lights that are kind of shining off of you, or shining outside, away from you. Anyway, Robert Brown missed the beginning. The 08 is how fast, he says, and it goes 23.1 miles per hour. We always test scooters, again, fastest mode for range test, fastest mode, etc. Jan D is asking, as a taller person, 6'4", do the handlebars extend higher than the average, or are they relatively low? So actually, I think I have data on how high the handlebars go. Just 1 second. Hold on, I know where it is. Performance tab. Sorry, you guys don't have this. We don't have this out yet. 3.38 feet is the height that you can get the handlebars to. But what you actually want to know is, and I'm sorry, that's not the height of the handlebars, because what you really want to know is the distance between the deck and the handlebars, not the distance between the floor and the handlebars, right, or the ground and the handlebars, right? Because you're standing not on the floor, you're standing on the deck. So how does this compare? I probably have to look at this for a while. It looks like, just from what I'm seeing, it's on the higher side. Yeah, it is on the higher side of things. Anyway, yeah, message us on the Facebook group, and I can do a little better job of getting back to you. Let's see. I think that's okay. So yeah. So what was I talking about? Oh, and then yeah, and then we talked about the kind of the difference between, or like why somebody would want to have one solid and one pneumatic tire, right? And again, for cities, and I'm not making a generalization about people who live in cities are not mechanically inclined, but maybe I am. Maybe I am. I mean, I don't know. I lived in a city and I'm not mechanically inclined, so maybe I'm just being self-centered. I don't like to fix things, right? I do not fix scooters. I've tried. I break them worse. I actually break scooters that shouldn't be, I mean, that are working well. I just break them. So with that said, I don't like to fix them because I can't. I can fix a computer. I cannot fix scooters. So what I like is two things. One, the solid tire is fine for when you're in good conditions. You just need to be more careful if you're on a solid tire and you're in slippery conditions, right? Or if you smash the brake really hard, your rear tire will slide out if you're not going perfectly straight, right? That's if you're smashing as hard as you can, like we do when we do the brake test. Yeah. And like I said, in the rain, just be careful going around turns, right? That's kind of the deal. But the benefit is literally 96% of flats are on the front tire. Sorry, on the rear tire, right? So this eliminates 96% of flats. Most likely, you could ride for years and thousands of miles and probably never get a flat on this scooter because, and don't tell me your bill, but I've never actually had a flat on a front yet. And we did a poll on our Facebook group, and I think it was like 2 to 35 or something. And I did the math, and it was like, 4% or whatever of people actually have a flat on the back. We also have asked retailers, and we've gotten confirmation from people that fix scooters that this is absolutely true. So anyway, so it's low maintenance. And then having a drum brake actually, as opposed to a disc brake, even though the disc is slightly, better performance, right? I think the 09 has one drum, one disc, right? Drum and disc are the two best, right? And way better than anything else. Way better than the foot friction and insanely better than regen brakes, right? For stopping power. Now this scooter has regen brake as well, right? So you get that in addition, and it is adjustable, which is cool. But most of your stopping power in an emergency, right, is going to come from the drum. Drum brakes are less prone to just getting damaged, warped, bent, whatever, than a drum brake. So it's almost as much stopping power, but you don't need to have any maintenance on it, which is cool. I'm losing my voice. Okay. Also for ride quality, trigger style versus thumb throttle, right? This is the controversy. Trigger throttles on super fast scooters, those are the toughest, I think, for me to ride, because it's like I've got my finger always stretched out like this because I can't just gun it all the time, right? Because I'm in a commuting environment, right? Now on a 0809, right, you actually, because it's not gonna zip you forward like a super fast dual motor scooter, right? It's still good. It's double the power of most sharing scooters, but it's not like your 10x, right? So basically, I kind of keep my finger closer to the rest of my hand, which, remember, my hand isn't closed. My hand is on the handlebar. So it's like this, and then my finger, instead of all the way outstretched, is more like that. And so think about how much power you have to grip, right? Because your scooter's going back and forth. You have to maintain some little pressure on it, right? And in an emergency, more pressure. Think about how much pressure you have here as opposed to here, as opposed to the whole hand being on it and just your thumb being off the handlebars. So with this scooter, it is trigger style, but you do tend to have your finger closer to the rest of your other fingers, which makes it less uncomfortable, right? After 20 miles on the scooter, it's like, yeah, I do go like this a bit with my hand, but it's not like, it's like I don't feel it the day after. Let's just say that. All right. I don't know what else to say. Okay. you got your normal P settings, right? You've got your like kick to start versus zero start, so you can adjust that. You can adjust the electronic braking. You can adjust how much torque you have when you start. You can even turn on and off cruise control. Of course, if you're new to scooters, do not use cruise control. There's like weird nuances that I could talk about, but I'm getting long-winded, I think, today. Yeah, about why you should or should not use cruise control. So yeah, cool. Build quality. So build quality, super heavy duty construction, really strong metal parts. What's really nice about actually RevRides, so I know this is about the 08, but what's nice about RevRides is they actually do the quality check before you get it. When we get scooters, we check every bolt because many times they are not tightened. It depends where you get the scooter from. What's nice about RevRides, they actually take the darn thing out of the box and test it and check all that stuff and make sure it's safe, which is like, that's worth something. So the handlebars are screw in, right? Now with all screw in type handlebars, super safe because on the springy ones, right, where you pop it up and the little collar deal, elbow pops into place, those can get either more loose or, a lot of times they get a little tight, and then you have to pop up the handlebar. And if you have this, you probably know what I'm talking about, the handlebar pop. And so what happens though is if you have the handlebar pop, that means that if you forget to do the handlebar pop, which is, I've done this before, you risk having a handlebar collapse on you in the middle of the ride, which I've had that happen. So with the screw type, you can't really miss that, right? You screw it in, right, and you go, and it's not going to come out. However, it can come a little loose, and I've yet to ride one screw type handlebar that does not come loose. A little bit, like a quarter turn. So you may not even notice it, but if you just go up and down with the handlebar after you go on some rough terrain, you'll get a little bit of wobble in that handlebar. Stem wobble, there is no stem wobble, which we really like. Also, there's a little lever, so when you pop the stem up, if you push that, you'll make a little click, and then it's like for sure that it's locked in tight. Yeah, we don't like the charging port. I actually forgot to put that in the review. Darn it. I had it in my notes and then just didn't get in the review. But anyway, the charging port is located in the front of the scooter. So if you have your scooter folded like this, it's no problem. The deal here is going to come out the front. But if you have the scooter unfolded with the wheel like that and you turn the wheel, that can actually knock into your charging cord, right? And it can bend it. And so that's you just need to be able to watch out for that. Okay. Yeah, for safety it's good. I'm going to turn on the lights right now. So you've got two lights in the back, right, that blink whether the lights are turned on or not, which is great. And you can kind of see them in the daytime. They're pretty bright. And then in the front, you've got 3 lights in the front. Again, mounted low. So, for the optimal safety, we do want to see those, lights mounted higher. But luckily, for $30-$40, you can get an aftermarket, front light. You can video description. You can see our top 10 list. We've got the accessories we use here if you want to check those out. And then for the rear, you can see they're pretty bright actually. And then of course, top level safety, get an extra, rear red light, put it on your helmet. Braking distance for safety, it is only 1 brake. And I know Nathan talked about this. It would be nice to have 2 brakes on the scooter, especially when you're going over 20, right? Miles an hour. We like to see 2. This has 1. It does have the regen. So as a backup, but they're both on the same wheel. So, it's not the best for braking distance at 23 feet, although it's not as bad as like a scooter that's electronic brake only, which will give you 40 to 50 feet. So it's, it's kind of in the middle, I guess, if you think about it like that. And that's really the big upgrade to the 09 as well. And then, one thing that is missing for safety that's a kind of a big deal is there's no bell, there's no horn. And so we really, really want to, we always put that in our reviews, and we want to make mention that, you should have a horn or a bell Luckily, $15, you can get an aftermarket one on Amazon, no problem. We use one that's $15 and it's got, you can turn up and down the sound and all that stuff. Yeah. And then finally, I guess the last thing to talk about is just the customer service aspect. And, there's different levels to this thing, right? And RevRides is at the top level, right? There's a handful of sellers in the US that are at the top level for taking care of their customers, and RevRides is one of those. So, yep, that's it. Okay, let me see if there's any other questions. Cool. Let's get everybody over to the, hopefully we can get a link over to the premiere. I don't know if Richie's on that or Ramir's on. I can probably do it. I think it's actually pinned to the comment of this thing. So the first person that gets it, could you pin it? Can you, I'm sorry, just post it in the live chat. Yeah, Mason Abbott is talking. I mean, we could chat forever. Mason Abbott's talking about the 180 pounds on mode 3. You get about 15 miles. That kind of makes sense. I get more but I'm a little lighter. And it also depends on the weather, actually. We found that we can get 10-15% differences in range depending on how cold it is outside. So, okay, Loud Matt asks, I'm 245 pounds. Would you suggest the Apollo, Explorer, or the 010X? I think he means X. Flat terrain, 10 kilometers round trip. Oh, okay. So basically, 10 kilometers is that's not a problem. Flat terrain is no problem. I think it really depends on the Explorer is a single motor scooter. The 10X is a dual motor scooter, right? And so the 10X is going to have ridiculous power, it's bigger, right? It's bulkier, so less portable, but really, really fun, really fun to ride. So I like that. And there's Andrew Stone. Talked about you a lot today, Andrew. Johnny Blaze, man, thanks for saying you love the clips. Thank you guys for watching. Yeah, I mean, this is awesome. I'm going to also just mention a preview for next week real quick. Maybe I shouldn't talk about it, but I'm going to say it. Basically, we have the Wolf War review coming out next Tuesday. So definitely tune in for that, because that one, baddest scooter on the planet, on the big Reddit end of the year awards that we did. So we have that coming out. But the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to do what I believe to be one of the largest scooter giveaways for electric scooters ever. And they're going to be for essential workers. We've got that planned. And so we're gonna do something really big with that. So please stay tuned. It's gonna come out next week, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, let me see if I can go online and get the link. Yep, instant premiere. Just go ahead and do it now, and then I'm gonna grab the link real quick. We're popping it in the deal here. It's actually it should be pinned to a comment. Yeah, there we go. Let me just double check that this works. I'm going to paste it in for everybody here. Boom. Yep, that's the right one. Okay, here comes the link. It's coming in now. I got it. Yeah, so it says it's going to premiere shortly. Yeah, no, it's going to start in just a second. So it says it's gonna premiere at 6:23, and then it'll start here in just a second. So I just pasted the link, so you guys should all head over to the so people are already jumping in there. I'm gonna be in the live chat over there, so it gives us a 2-minute countdown. It should be, it says 6:23, so yeah, just wait for it. Here it goes. Yeah, we got our 2-minute countdown right now. All right, so we got basically 2 minutes to chat. I'm just gonna say hi to people on here for 2 minutes, but the live show is gonna start in like a minute, basically. So cool. Yeah, Bradley Smith. Hey, thanks, Jack, for saying it's a nice stream. I appreciate you guys all tuning in, which is great. And Yaniv, congratulations. I think you got the eMove Cruiser. I know. Johnny Blaze says, "What's up with Alien Rides?" I don't know. Alien Rides, we chat with him sometimes. He's a great guy. I don't know if he was in here. Whatever. Maybe I'm answering questions I shouldn't be. Anyway, Everybody, just go to the link right now. I'm going to paste it one more time. It's also pinned to the comment. I'm going to sign off. You guys, ride safe. Don't forget to wear your helmet. And don't forget to wash your hands. We'll see you next week with the Wolf Warrior.